Good evening all, and welcome to another video on All Hail the Ale. It's Friday night, and that means it's alcohol-free beer night. And the beer we're going for tonight is from Mash Gang. It's this one. It is Chapter 1. And Chapter 1 is also known as Sniffing Glue and Other Rock and Roll Habits. It's a 0.5% ABV beer, as is just about everything from Mash Gang. And this one is the single series quadruple dry hopped ale from the Fresh Beer Project 001. And it says on the back of the can that it's HBC 630, a single hop and plenty of it. This one is more subtle, but it's unique and magical. A highly experimental hop, it's complex and fruity with sweet fruit and berry flavours like raspberry and cherry, along with sweet candy-like esters and lactones giving creamy notes of peach and banana. It says, think Sharpie pens, poppers, children's cough syrup and nail polish remover on the nose, but a whole fruit breakfast buffet in the mouth. My favourite hop bar none. Now, out of complete and utter honesty, this is take 2 of the video because when I did the first can, the memory card decided to crap out. So thanks, SanDisk. You served me well for many years, but it's time to get a new one. So I've had to drag a spare memory card out of my R6 for this. So, without further ado, we're going to open it for the first time again, pour into a glass and see what we think. So it's not going to be a true first impressions because I've already done that and I've kept the scoreboard from the first take. So the pour into a used glass, should anyone question, is pale, much the same as the first can, with a bit of haze. Let's see if we can encourage a bit of a head. There we go. So, thankfully, it looks the same. So we've not got any canning mix-ups. We've got a nice pale straw golden beer with a nice bit of haze and a loose foam white head. It looks exactly the same as the first time. Looks good. And does it smell good? Well, we already know that. So let's go for a second whiff and see if it's any different. No, it's not, surprisingly not. It's very nice. You've got strawberry. I see what they're saying with the raspberry. Cherry, maybe. It's not classic, the word glacé cherries. It's not your cherry drops or anything like that. There's hints of it. It's subtle. And the thing I like most about this one, you've got that creaminess that they refer to. There is a bit of peach, but it's the banana and almost custard-like aromas that come through. And behind all that, you've got a lovely malt as well. It's almost biscuity on the nose. But no Sharpies, no poppers, no cough syrup, and none of the other one. None of the, what was it? My memory's shocking. Post-COVID, I've lost a lot of memory. What was it? Yeah. No nail polish remover. None of that, thankfully, because that kind of doesn't really belong for me in a beer. So, yeah, it's fruity and it's malty on the nose. Bizarrely, it's not many of the Mash Gang experimental beers that I've had. And I call them all experimental because, let's be honest, they are. But this series is made with a lot more love and attention. It's a much smaller batch, more curated, shall we say. But yeah, malts feature quite nicely in this one. I love it a lot. So, on to the tasting. So, we're going to go for another taste. The first taste again. And much like the first can, it's fruity. I'm getting berries. I'm getting the strawberry predominantly. Little hint of raspberry. And again, the cherry as well. The cherry is subtle, but it's there. Behind it comes the creaminess of the banana-like notes that they talk about. And the peach is there as well. It's that little bit of stone fruit just sort of tickling the back of your throat as it goes down. And it's really quite nice. But for me, the real star of the show on this one, outside of that hop, is the malt. The malt is beautiful. It's balanced and it's biscuity and it's beautiful. It adds a granola-like note to the whole thing, which for me is wonderful. It's what I had for breakfast this morning. If you haven't tried it before, Tesco's tropical granola, superb, with all those tropical fruits. It's got that kind of vibe going on in here. It's wonderful. And as I forgot to mention, at the beginning. The body is light to medium with great carbonation. And by great carbonation, I mean there's plenty of it, but it's not overpowering. The body is on the lighter side of medium, and if it was any lighter, it'd perhaps be a bit too thin, but it works well. It supports the flavours perfectly, if I'm honest. And the finish, it's sweet, it's fruity. There's a tiny hint of bitterness, the tiniest of hints, and quite short. So that's the summary of the beer. The scoreboards of joy, and like I say, out of complete honesty, I've kept the my scoreboard of joy as it was, but we're going to revisit the aid memoir from Untapped, which has said nothing so far. Zip. No one's checked in, therefore no average score. My scoreboard of joy, we're going to run down. So for the looks, I gave it a point because it looks great. I love the colour. It's typical of a mash gang beer. The aromas, beautiful, sweet, fruity, hoppy, and that beautiful malt sitting behind it just works perfectly well for me. Love it. Again, I gave that a point. The body works well, but like I mentioned, if it was a bit thinner, it would perhaps be too thin. Carbonation superb. It allows those flavours to pop. Couldn't fault it. Again, I gave that a point. The flavour, again, got a point. It's beautiful. I love those strawberry notes. The raspberry's great, and the real killer for me that sealed the deal on the flavour was that malt profile. It is absolutely banging, and arguably the best malt profile on any mash gang beer to date. It's just superb. So it got the point. For me, the finish is the weakest point of the beer, and it's only because it doesn't last very long. It makes you want to go for another sip, and it's a good thing I've got another 10 cans down there in the fridge to enjoy, because I just want to sip it more and more and more. I just want it to last longer. So I gave it a 0.75, and I gave it a value for money tick as well, because, you know, this is a small batch beer. Yes, it costs more than many other alcohol-free beers, but this is made with love in such small quantities that you really cannot, excuse me, argue with the price. It's well priced for what it is, and it represents, for me, good value for money. And I did give it a buy again tick, even though we know that these are limited, never to be repeated beers. I would give it a buy again if I could. But because it only got 4.75, and I say only, like it's a bad thing, that's a bloody good score for any beer, let's be honest. I gave it a little bit less because of the finish, therefore it cannot have the full bonus point. So it's got 4.75 out of 5 for me. There it is, complete honesty, as it was. So yeah, there we go. Thank you once again to the boys and girls at Mash Gang for making some stellar beer. It's great to enjoy these little one-off projects of love, because they don't come around very often, and there's not many brewers who have got, shall we say, the cojones to do things like this. I really appreciate it, Mash Gang. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm going to say on that note, this has been Sniffing Glue, another Rock and Roll Habits. I've been me. Those down there are the buttons. You know exactly what to do with them by now. You've got the like, comment, dislike, and subscribe. Choose any combination of them as you wish. And I will see you again soon for another video. Bye.